Welcome back, Adult International students, to Confusing Words in English, Lesson 6. Today we are going to look at the pair of words further and farther. In our last lesson, we looked at two prepositions that were very similar in spelling. To with one O and to with two O's. And that pair of words was in the top 1% of usage in the American English language. So let's go ahead and begin today's lesson. So here we are with farther and further. And I also wanted to point out something that I think is very important for promising writers who want to improve their skill in English. If you look up here to the upper right hand corner of the Word program, the green button that says Grammarly, Grammarly is a very useful tool that you can get through your Google add-ons that is very useful. It really helps you when you're writing because it notifies you here in a bar when there is a mistake made. As you can see so far, thank goodness I have no issues found. Although there is some advanced issues, but those are usually things for a more professional document. This is for teaching purposes, so they are probably pointing to these red things over here, which are references from the dictionary, from the source that I use. But they also have a paid version that is much more meticulous. So, a very useful tool for free if you're writing, so I highly recommend it. It helps keep me from making more mistakes than I currently make, because teachers are not perfect. We are humans too, we make mistakes. So, anyway, let us begin. So, we're going to start with farther. And as you see, farther can be used as an adverb and an adjective. So let's start with farther as an Number 1 says, at or to a greater distance or more advanced point. Their examples: got no farther than the first page. Nothing could be farther from the truth. So when you say got no farther than the first page, maybe you were writing a paper for class and maybe you fell asleep because you bored yourself from writing and you got no farther than the first page. Nothing could be farther from the truth. That simply means that somebody tells something that is just known as a truth by many other people, and you have confirmed that in a clever way, and they say to you, oh wow, nothing could be farther from the truth. That is spot on. That is exact. Number 2 says, to a greater degree or extent. Their example says, see to it that I do not have to act any farther in the matter. Bernard de Voto, I guess a famous writer or poet, or maybe even an orator, a famous speech. So this simply means that make sure that I do not have to get involved any deeper into the matter. Maybe there is a serious problem of somebody not behaving well, and they are giving them a stern warning saying, please do not make me have to discipline you and give you a punishment, is the best way that I would recognize that. And of course, I am quoting my sources here wherever I take my definitions from, giving credit. Under sentences, it says, and these are my own creation, the guy who stole $10 million from the bank got no farther than the next town once the cops were after him. So this just basically means he couldn't get any farther than the next town. The cops stopped him. They moved so quickly that he was not able to get away fast enough. Number 2, if you let this issue with your brother go farther than it already has, then he may never speak to you again. So we all have a lot of us have siblings. And as you know, things can get out of hand. So maybe you had an argument about something stupid. That happens a lot. And maybe you let it go farther than it needs to, and you damage a relationship because of that. That is sad when that happens, but it happens a lot, more than we think. So that is farther with an adverb. Those are the best contextual instances when you can use farther as an adverb. Now we are going to discuss farther as an adjective. Number 1 means more distant. And the red here means a reference to another word, remoter, which is a kind of word that has a similar definition. They always link those so that you can look at the similar connections between words. So the farther side of town. So you know a town, you say, oh, this is the middle of town. You can say the nearest part of town, maybe right when you come into town. The middle of town maybe is a business district. And the farther side of town is the border before you leave the town. Would be a good representation of that. Number 2. This is giving you a connection to the word further. So this means clearing his throat preparatory to farther revelations. So this is a kind of complex meaning here in a way. So when you are talking or somebody is talking and they want to make a further point, and people are like, oh, and by the way, to kind of say, I've got some other things to note or to say. So here on my sentences, I say on the first one, you will find a small shack at the farther edge of the meadow. Remember, that means more distant. So a small shack, if you do not know, is maybe a small little building made of wood or other materials. It's very small. A person cannot live in it, but, well, maybe you can exist in it, but I would not live in it full time. It is a very poorly built structure that is just based for shelter mostly. And farther edge of a meadow. A meadow is like a wide open grassy area, and sometimes people put shacks out there in the country where they live for convenience. When everything is finished, farther tasks may be required. So basically what I did here was I'm saying, more things to be said. I'm saying more tasks may be required when everything is finished. Maybe somebody is doing a task on a list, and then the person says, well, here are some more things that you will need to do next now that that step is finished. And now we're going to take a look at further. Now further can be used as an adverb, a verb, or an adjective. There are 3 different ones. But thank goodness that there are not a lot of contexts that we have to use this in to discuss. So the list is fairly short. So further as an adverb, they reference farther as a similar meaning, saying, my ponies are tired. I have further to go. That also means you can say, I have farther to go. So they say in this context, you can also say one or the other. Number 2 says further means in addition. So they give a reference of the word moreover, because that is a common transitional word for a sentence or in a paragraph. And that simply means further, there are aurochs, red deer, wild boar, and large quantities of hare or rabbit. And this seems to come from a book, because there's another author's name here. So you see this many times as an extension in a book. They want to explain things a little more thoroughly to give you more examples in text or writing. Number 3 to a greater extent or extent further annoyed by a second intrusion. So let me reiterate that because I read it all as a sentence. The definition is actually to a greater degree or extent, and their sample means, or as an example means, further annoyed by a second intrusion. So in other words, they were annoyed once, and the same thing keeps happening, and now they are getting more upset or more angry or emotional in a negative way. My sentences for those: I have traveled 600 miles and still have further to go. Basically, I'm just saying, wow, I've come 600 miles and I'm not finished. Maybe I have to go 1,000 miles in total. But we do not know that because it does not present those specific details. Maybe that is the purpose of that. I want you to think about how much further I have to go. Number 2, further, we need gasoline, oil mix, and to have the blades of the lawnmower sharpened. So maybe I am giving some examples of, or some explanation about the maintenance of taking care of a lawnmower. And now I am giving some further instructions. Maybe they've just finished understanding that, and I am saying this next. Maybe to my son, or so that he doesn't get injured, or to somebody who's never mown the grass before, which is a bit odd. Number 3, it's bad enough she told my secret, but I was further angered when she told everyone my secret on Facebook. Whoa, okay. First of all, that's not a very good friend. You tell somebody a secret, you think you can trust them, and then they go put it on a big social media site. That's great. I'd say that friendship's over. And now let's talk about, briefly, further as a verb. To help forward or promote. And promote means to make you more aware of something by you saying it by voice or however you want to tell people about it. And my sentence is, this money received from my inheritance will be used to further my online tutoring business. So I actually have an online tutoring business. But if I was to get money from an inheritance means somebody that you are close to or a family member dies, in their will, which is a paper that explains what somebody wants done with their material possessions when they die, who they will give them to. So if I receive money from an inheritance, I would use it to make my tutoring business stronger. That's what that means. Further as an adjective. There are only 2 contextual meanings here. They reference the word farther as an option that you could choose between this one and the word that we are looking at. The example they give is road, across the valley, and up the further slopes. This is a famous, Lawrence, T.E. Lawrence is a famous writer of some sort. Number 2, going or extending beyond. That can also be very similar to the meaning of additional. Further volumes, further education. Let me put a comma there to separate those because they are separate things. So that means there are more. Additional means to add to. So further volumes means there are more volumes. Further education means you can get more education. You need more education. Sentence 1. Our group went up the mountain, then headed further up the biking trail. So I went up a mountain. I can go farther or further, as it says in the first one, and you see here, you can use either word in this context or meaning interchangeably. You can use either one. That means, wow, I've come to the mountain. Now there's a hiking trail. That's awesome. I like to explore. So when I was in different countries, I used to go to temples and other places to visit because I was interested. I had farther to go due to my own self-interest. Number 2, setting a good example by standing up for justice will further a better justice system. So we all know what is right and wrong due to our own laws in our own country. So if something is corrupt and you choose to stand up for what is right, sometimes bad people will say bad things to you, but you are doing the right thing. You stand up for justice and the law, and if enough people will do that, there will not be corruption, because there are many people who want the laws or the rules followed. That's what that means. That is our lesson for today. And so let's go ahead and do a little bit of a summary. So today we have covered the pair of words further and farther. Last lesson we talked about the pair of words to with one O and to with two O's. I also would love to hear recommendations from adult ESL students who would like to learn about pairs of words that they have difficulty with that they would like me to discuss. I would be very happy to do that for you if there is enough of a demand for that. If you have enjoyed these lessons, please remember, as always, we have other social media where you can view these videos. We have a Facebook page, and if you liked these videos, please hit the like button. That allows me to help other people who want some assistance with their English. We also have a Twitter account. If you prefer that social media style, please hit follow so that you can receive your videos every week. And finally, we have a YouTube channel and would love to have you as a subscriber. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers so that I can get a custom URL, because the one I have now is so long it makes it hard to put it on templates. So hopefully we will reach that goal sometime soon. I want to thank you for viewing the lesson today, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week. See you soon now. Bye-bye.